we're going to give a few halachot about Bedikat Hamets. It's also just as important. No, Rabbi just mentioned that someone who is careful not to fail in owning or eating Chametz, the whole of Pesach, afilu mashuv shel Chametz, even minimal amount of Chametz, muftach lo shelo yacheta. Apparently, it says in the Zohar HaKadosh, it's brought in the Zohar HaKadosh in Parashat Ki Teitzeh, lo yegorcha ra, lo yagur itcha ra, evil won't live with you. The Yetzer Hara won't live with you. I spoke a few weeks ago about the effect of ma'achalot asurot on a person's mind, on a person's behavior. And this could be very well connected to that. If a person is not careful, then he kind of brings in himself a power to want to do averot. And that's what the Arizal meant. I haven't tried it so well, because obviously I failed every year. Because if I'm still sinning, means I wasn't careful on Pesach. Does that mean that? No, this doesn't literally mean that, but the concept is there.
Food. When you protect from food, not from every sin.
Machalot asurot.
No.
Yeah. So interesting. It says v'nitam temtem, and the Gemara in Yuma says avera. Didn't say machalot asurot. Avera. It brings the pasuk of v'nitam temtem, even though the pasuk is talking about after the what you can eat or you can't eat from the animals, but it says avera is metamtem libo shel adam. It's interesting. But here we talk about machalot asurot. We talk about eating on Pesach, kol shul shel chametz. Yeah. Rav Yossi explains that's the concept of kadesh or chatz. What's kadesh? You start the Seder night with the word kadesh. It says getting rid of the chametz and preparing yourself. You shouldn't fail in owning or eating chametz. Is actually bringing on yourself kedusha. So after you've done this kedusha or chatz, then that's how the Seder starts. It's a nice remez. So therefore, Bedikat Hamets, we have to know what we're doing, yeah, when we are searching for Chametz. I mean, it's all very well selling your Chametz, and including in the contract that you're selling any Chametz which you may have overlooked in your home. But that doesn't exempt you from Bedikat Hamets. Even more, nullifying the Chametz, which we do that, and we say a special nusach, a special text, which we avoid the words hefker. The Ashkenazim add on the words lifti veleve ke'afra hefker ke'afra de alma. They add on the word hefker. We don't even say that. We don't want it to be hefker, because hefker, there may be opinions, which Rav Yossi I think says that it doesn't actually leave your possession until someone else actually takes it. So hefker is insufficient. We go for the worst. Lifti veleve ke'afra de alma. We make bitul. Bitul means we do not value any of possessions. I mean, don't call it possessions. Any of chametz which we may possess. We don't value it at all. It's like dust of the earth. And that helps. That helps. That kind you're disowning anything and you're disregarding it. It's a game of words, you think? That's why the Chachamim were worried. That you might not take it too seriously, the bitul. You might think this is a hocus pocus idea, and therefore you might not really be serious about what you're saying. What the person should understand, when you are saying these words, live till de arva, it should be that even if I give you 150 Johnny Walker Blue Label, you're saying that's like dust. It's quite hard.
Nobody wants that.
No one wants that. You see? Now you're explaining why the Chachamim said it's insufficient. You have to do Bedikat Hamets. Shema imtza gluska yafa. Nah. You might find something valuable on Pesach. And yes, you did bitul. But you didn't know you forgot this. I forgot to sell it. I forgot to get rid of it. You might, Chalila v'chas, we're not talking about avaryanim. If a person chas v'shalom really regrets his bitul, then he's a rasha. But there may be a few moments before he kind of gains consciousness and he starts thinking to himself, oh, I forgot my blue label. Oh, I forgot that. And those few moments, yeah, maybe I didn't give the right example of a whiskey, because that's shani b'machloket about the Bal Yirayah on that, because it's a mashke which comes out of chametz. Let's take a very valuable proper chametz, which is Bal Yirayah, Bal Matsa, you transgress. At that point, where you haven't yet made the decision, of course, Bitul Pesach, those few moments, it's quite dangerous. That means you may have owned chametz for a short period of time, transgress the Isur. So how does it help just to say bitul? למעשה שני דברים אינם ברשותו של אדם. It's an Isur הנאה. Chametz on Pesach is forbidden to benefit, so really it has no value. The Chachamim put it back into our position to transgress the Isur of Bal Yilahim, with us giving a small, declaration and agreeing that we don't want that to come back to our possession. That makes it sufficient, but for Chametz, which we don't encounter on Pesach. Just explaining the mechanics behind the bitul. There's another reason why we do Bedikat Hamets. You might come to eat something. I won't lie to you. I was a child. I like giving experiences. I was under bar mitzvah. I used to eat in Kiddushi once upon a time when I was a child. I stopped when I started watching other people eat. Then, especially in the as a child, every week there was a Kiddush in the Bet Knesset. I used to be worried maybe the next week there won't be a Kiddush. I used to hide away a few biscuits in a locker. In Pesach, Chalila v'chas, a person may put away chametz, or may forget it's asur. Another member of the family, and he finds the chametz he put away. He can chas v'shalom bin nichshal and isur karet. We don't want that happening. I know it sounds far-fetched by grown-ups. It sounds far-fetched, but we don't want anybody in the family. We don't know what people are holding. But some people are, when it comes to food, especially based on what the Rosh has explained to us, the reason why Chametz and Pesach has been mashru, because Eino Bedile. You're so accustomed to eating Chametz.
What happens if it was by mistake?
All your life.
You thought it was kosher Pesach.
That's also true. I had the incident again. I went, unfortunately, to a supermarket, Kasher Pesach supermarket. It was after Chatzot on Erev Pesach. I opened the cupboard of the house, and I see there's rice cakes with 5 grains. You know, there's rice cakes, multi-grain, which has proper chametz in it. The wrapper was very similar, yeah? And it was just, by the shopkeeper, there's many mistakes which a person can fall into so that's what we do with Bedikat Hamets for. Okay?
So what happened at that point?
At that point,
You
I
have to
what?
throw it away?
Absolutely. Any chametz which you find on Pesach, even though you did bitul, unless it's been sold to a goy specifically, you have to get rid of the chametz.
You're allowed to touch it.
You have to throw it. You're allowed to take it. If it's Chol HaMoed, you're allowed to touch it because you're touching it in order to get rid of it. But on Yom Tov, the Gemara says, if someone finds chametz on Yom Tov, what should you do? Kofeh alav et hakeli. He covers it with the utensil because it's muktzah. I once said the whole pilpul to why can't you burn it on Yom Tov? הרי העברה אפילו שלא לצורך is מותר. No, הוצאה אין העברה. Should we burn it on the spot? So maybe it's not, Lachem, it's not lachem. So, that's what you must do. Cover it to the keli.
What do you mean that you sell all your chametz to the goy, but you didn't specifically sell this to the goy? Because you found it in a cupboard but you didn't realize it was there?
No. If you didn't include it in the mechilat chametz, you usually specify where you're selling the goy's chametz.
Yeah.
No, so
He's
because
talking
it's
about-
not in the place that you sold,
Yeah.
if it's not in there, then it's not considered part of the
Well,
sale.
if you didn't clearly say that you're including any other thing which is not there, then yes, it's not included in the sale. No.
So you
It's not
nullify
included in the sale.
yourself on the day. don't You You nullify yourself on the day.
Yeah, but bitul doesn't help to make the chametz asur be'anah. Chachamim knew this, and they were worried that you might not do bdikat chametz properly, so therefore they toughened their penalties, and they said, we are not going. That means you haven't done bdikat chametz properly. We will make it forbidden to benefit after Pesach as well. Okay? Remember that. So, I'll tell you a story with a great rabbi called Rav Shimshon Pinkus. Rav Shimshon Pinkus, unfortunately, died on the 14th of Nisan, on Erev Pesach. or 13th of Nisan, I can't remember what date it was. He was a very special person. He didn't write many books, but from his recordings, they published many books. And there he brings a story about an experience he had one year that, when it comes to Bedikat Hamets, you start one room, you go to the second room, you start getting exhausted, especially when you know that your wife has been cleaning the house for the past 6 months. So what exactly are you doing here? And you start, closing one eye and checking with one eye only. And you go around the house half-hearted, and you want to finish because, I don't know, maybe they've ordered a pizza, or maybe you're rushed for supper. And you start rushing on your chametz, on your Bedikat Hamets. Rav Shimshon Pinkus says, he was in Israel. And, in Israel, the yeshiva boys, before they get married, they rent dirot. And he couldn't afford to come back home, so he stayed in Eretz Israel. And unfortunately, his flatmates had left him, so he was alone. And he had to do Bedikat Hamets. He says he was very, very tired that day. And it came to very late at night, he was in bed, and he realizes there's a loft which hasn't been checked for Hametz. And ultimately, he's responsible for Hametz. He doesn't know what people have left there, what they haven't left there. He says he had such a yetzer hara to just say, you know what, I'll rely on Bitul, I'll rely on this. He says he went up to the loft, he overcame his yetzer hara, and he sees the mess there's in the loft. It was like Hametz shenafal alav mapolet. You know what happens when you have Hametz and the house falls on it? You don't have to. You have to take out the Hametz. No one will get to it on Pesach. He said, but it's not. The items there, the things there, and he started moving the whole. He says he didn't sleep that night. And he thought he's going to experience the worst Seder night. And the last thing is you don't want to sleep, is not to sleep on the night before Pesach. You'd be tired all day, you've got things to do. He says he came to Pesach so tired, but he doesn't remember a more special Pesach than that Leila Seder. He says he got such koach from Hashem. He got such koach, he experienced the most meaningful Leila Seder. That means lefum tzara agra. It literally means the more effort you get and you put, and don't undermine takanot of Chachamim. If Chachamim told us to do something, it's not going to only help us to protect ourselves from Hametz, it will actually bring about Kedusha to ourselves. Every moment you're dealing with Bedikat Hamets and you're going from closet to closet and from room to room, you're actually fulfilling what they've told you to do. V'yitkadishtem v'yitem kedoshim. That's the source of listening to Chachamim to do Netilat Yadayim. Same thing here. Shekideshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al biur chametz. Now we all know we make this bracha at the Bedikat Hamets. Really, we should be making it when we burn the chametz. Not when we're looking for the chametz. But the answer to this is given that since we cannot get rid of our chametz without searching, so therefore we bring forward the blessing of the biur chametz already there. So based on this, if you forgot to say the bracha, so long as you're still searching, you should be able to say bracha. Some hold even after, before you're burning, but it's shanui b'machloket. So make sure you remember to make this bracha. Asher kideshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu. When we fulfill the words of Chachamim, we get kedusha. Now, we're not searching for crumbs. Make no mistake. Crumbs, it's not ideal to have crumbs, but that's not what you're going to be transgressing Bali Yalai or Bali Matsa. Why? Because Bitul will help for that. You're nullifying. No one will find a crumb on Pesach and say, I want that crumb back. You're not going to do that. So what we're searching for Hametz is, especially nowadays, most foods which you buy from the shop come wrapped. I don't know if you noticed. Everything, even the plainest wafer chocolate, comes wrapped. In the olden days, you wouldn't hide away chametz in cupboards or in clothes. Nowadays, you comfortably put chametz in your pockets. Why? They're well wrapped up. So sometimes you buy a nice fancy chocolate, you throw it, but we don't want the kids to get hold of it. You behave worse than a kid, and you start hiding it, and you don't mind because it's not going to dirty your clothes. So therefore, we need to, any place where we might have put chametz there, we have a chiyuv. Places where you never put chametz there, you don't have an obligation to search. And that can include school bags full of chametz. It can include clothes, coats, which you take on regular day to day. Many, many, many items which you can put in the pockets comfortably, chametz, and not worry about the chametz spoiling the clothes you're doing. So that's in regard. Now, obviously, the custom is that even though we've cleaned the house, and you'll ask, what are making a bracha biur chametz? What are the chances of finding chametz if my wife has gone through all of this? But we are mekayim the takana of chachamim that the night of the 14th, we search chametz. Lo plug chachamim b'takanotehem. Everybody, even if you've cleaned your house, if it's within 30 days before Pesach, it's too bad. You have to search chametz. You have to search on the night of the 14th. Now, those who are leaving their homes prior to the night of the 14th, the night before they have to search chametz, or if they're planning to come back. If they're selling their chametz in the house, and the house, the whole house they're renting, then they don't have to search for chametz. But those people should make sure that the document should mark clearly that they're selling on the 13th. Why? Because if on the night of the 14th the sale hasn't taken place, there's opinions which hold that even if you're planning to leave your house and you're planning to sell all the chametz in the house, but Chachamim said you have to search for chametz. The sale hasn't taken place, and therefore you'd have to do like everybody else, Bedikat Hamets. So make sure you mark Mechirat Yud Gimel. Did you want to sell the chametz on the 13th?
You do it where you go to the next day.
Where are you going? I don't know. Can you tell me?
He said.
Yeah.
You do it there if you're staying there.
Yeah, but if
You
you're
do
not,
Bedikat Hamets there.
but are you doing Bedikat Hamets? Yeah, but you have here a property which is on you're owning, and you're owning the chametz.
Selling the house.
So make sure that you put the date of the 13th of Nisan, and the rabbi knows about it, and the rabbi makes a special sale on the 13th of Nisan. Again, there's some opinions which hold, if something you're planning to sell the chametz, so you don't have to do Bedikat Hamets. I'm just covering the opinion which holds that if on the night of the 14th the chametz belongs to me, I've got a duty to do Bedikat Hamets. So it's very easy. Just put Mechirat Yud Gimel.
Instead of that, could you also just search for that bracha?
No,
Could you do Bedikat with that bracha?
yeah.
In your property? Yeah.
Of course, you should do that. If you're planning to come back to your property in the middle of Pesach,
No, you're not planning to come during Pesach. Come back after.
and you don't want to sell it,
And you are selling it.
you're selling your chametz.
Yeah.
You want to Bedikat Hamets on the night of the 13th.
Yeah.
No, I don't think you can.
You just do it with that bracha, no?
Well, that means
You could do.
But what are you searching?
You could do. At least you'll be Mekayim the Takanat Chachamim of 13th.
then what you
I don't know. I don't know where you're searching.
But why don't you
If you're selling it to the goy, why would you be?
But why do you do it
Yeah.
in a place you're going to be
It's
at?
not about the fulfillment of Bedikat Hametz. It's about the fulfillment of Bedikat Hametz on the night of the 14th, if the property is still yours, and the Hametz is still yours.
If you go to a hotel or something, you do it on that night, no? When you're in your room.
That's besides the point. That's irrelevant. Where you're living, you have a duty to do Bedikat Hametz. That's true. That's nothing to do. That's to protect yourself where you are from Hametz. That's true. Unless they tell you they searched for Hametz already prior to that.
If they told you that they've searched, then you don't have to double check.
If they did a proper Bedikat Hametz, we probably didn't do a
Well,
proper
how's that?
Bedikat Hametz, because which hotel manager will go around the night of the doing for you Bedikat
does that
Hametz?
mean if
They don't count in it if you came with Hametz to the hotel. So you should do your own Bedikat Hametz.
so if you're
Let's go
renting,
into Sugya whether you buy a muskah where it's mechazakah that they checked Hametz. It's before the 14th.
so if you're renting a place, should you check it before
Yeah, you have
when you're gonna stay there?
correct.
But Rabbi, if you do on the 13th, you cut Hametz, and the 14th is still there, you're still eating Hametz. Make a difference?
What do you mean?
Say the night before, so say, let's say Shabbat, yeah? And then on Sunday, you're still feeding your kids Hametz, you're allowed to.
Yeah.
That doesn't make a difference?
Yeah. Even on the night of the 14th, after we search for Hametz and we put allocate our Hametz in a box or somewhere specific, that's the halacha is. You have to make sure you put it away somewhere safe, that no one should by mistake take, and now you'll have to do Bedikat Hametz for the whole house again.
Right.
So you know what you let. Then we still eat Hametz. So we still use it until the next day, but you have to use it in a responsible way, that you shouldn't have to do Bdika again. Make sure that you allocate a place and the Hametz doesn't move from there unless to your stomach. Okay? Now, that's the halachot in regards of Bedikat Hametz, and then we do Biur Hametz in the morning. We all know there's a restriction to eat Hametz already in the 4th hour of the day. Chachamim brought forward, even though midday is the cutoff point of Hametz, according to the Torah, Ach Bayom HaRishon, the day before, midday, Chachamim took us further. An hour before it's Asur Be'anah, 2 hours before it's already Asur Be'achila. You're not allowed to eat it. So you have to follow the timings. I think it says here 9 I don't know, I can't remember the timings exactly. You have to search. It can be make it like the second opinion, like the Vilna Gaon. Like the Vilna Gaon, yeah.
But you can burn from any time.
Mm-hmm.
You can burn the chametz at any time.
Yeah, you just have to stop eating it at a certain time.
What?
There's no restrictions on one.
What's the timing? Huh?
Around, not 10 o'clock, around now.
Sorry.
I normally do it.
Latest.
9:56 it says here. Latest time for burning is 11:28. 9:56. That's it's a wrong phrase. Latest time for burning, because really you can burn it until Pesach comes. Yeah, you have to burn it. What means to say you should try and burn it prior to that. You should exterminate it before that. Okay. Right. There's a custom to put 10 pieces of bread, and that's for a couple of reasons. There's a Kabbalistic reason, but there's the simple reason is that Rama writes that no, there shouldn't be bracha levatela. Although we don't hold halachas like that. The Shulchan Aruch seems to not agree to that. The fact that we search out of doubt, that's fulfilling what the Chachamim have told us to do. The Rama brings an opinion to say that if you're not going to find any chametz, it might be bracha levatala. So therefore, we put some pieces of bread in order to find something. Therefore, the bracha is on something. The Shulchan Aruch doesn't agree to that. But it's a good practice to do so, and preferably you shouldn't be the one hiding the 10 pieces, unless you have no choice. So that you do the bdika in a more efficient way. But we make sure that everything gets written down.
Aber das less than gesagt.
Huh?
Each piece has to be less than gesagt.
Yeah, it should be less pieces less than kazai, just in case you don't find. What?
Always spend ages looking for that last piece.
Yeah.
Do you need to do it as well if you're
Don't
going
let
to
your
someone's
kids hide it.
household? Just say you're going to your
They
sister's
forget.
or-
It's
They
very
cover,
good.
they cover
It'll be
it.
in their
Make sure you
pockets.
check properly.
It'll be in their pockets before you know it.
Okay. Now,
Make sure your wife knows where the kid is.
Yeah, last year.
It'll be too late by then.
there is a lot of significance of the burning of the chametz.
Makes more mess.
Yeah, as Rav Yehuda says, "En biur chametz el asrefa." There's a lot of significance of getting rid of doing the action. It's really against all our what we've been taught about bal tashchit, about how we must be careful not to waste bread, not to disrespect bread. And here comes Hashem and tells us, comes Pesach, I want you to tevaru. Yeah, get rid of any chametz which is in your possession. Get rid of it. Biur. So some say, mefararo vezorei laruach or layam. You can do other ways of getting rid, but you can burn it. We burn it. That's our minhag. We do like Rav Yehuda. It's got a lot to do with the Yetzer Hara. You should know. Chametz has a lot to do with the Yetzer Hara, and that takes us back to the Shibud Mitzrayim. Even though now we want to discuss about the Leil HaSeder, but I think this is an appropriate introduction that we all know that Rabbi Meir Badik Bishma, the word Mitzrayim and the word Paro are two very opposite words. In Mitzrayim, which means Meitzar, boundaries, we were locked in some kind of a form of boundaries in physical being and in spiritual being. And the king of the place where we were locked in was Paro. And Paro is an expression which Aaron, Moshe Rabbeinu used at the time of the sin of the golden calf. Yeah? Ki Perao Aharon. Parao means you're open to do what you like. Mufra. No boundaries at all. And yet, Mitzrayim is called a place with boundaries. How does that go together? Rav Dessler explains, people who think that they allow the Yetzer Hara to come into them and they allow the Yetzer Hara to act freely, they're free people. They're most free people. You're free to do what you like. In today's society, it's terrible. There's no boundaries. You can go, sure, do whatever you want. If you think you're a cat, if you think you're a rabbit, you demand people to call you a cat. You can do whatever you like. That's called parua. Well, lema'aseh, someone who's subject to his Yetzer Hara, he's not really a free person. He's controlled constantly. He's not in control. Someone who can control himself, he sees something which he's not allowed to look at, and he abstains from looking, that's a person who's in control, really. Someone who his neck turns like that in an automatic way, he's not in control. There's something else controlling him. Someone who does things which are asur, because he can't hold himself back, he's actually in the biggest prison ever. He's been taken along with the Yetzer Hara, captive by the Yetzer Hara. So the Torah gave this whole story of the restriction of Hametz, which that symbolizes, to a certain extent, letting the dough go freely and rising. Instead of that, keeping it in control. Don't let time get into it. Put it into the oven. Don't have anything which has anything to do with Hametz. That action, says Hashem, will help you every year fight the Yetzer Hara. As we did when we came out of Mitzrayim, and we prepared ourselves to be really Bnei Chorim. אין לך בן חורים, אלא משה. עוסק בתורה. That means we accepted the Torah, we really became free people. We were able to be in full control of our Yetzer Hara. That is free people. And that was the purpose. על ההר הזה תעבדון את האלוהים. That's what Hashem told Moshe when he sent him to go and tell the Jewish people. The sign will be that in this mountain they're going to serve Hashem. It's time for them to take out. That means the whole point of us coming out of Mitzrayim is to help us fight the Yetzer Hara. Now every year during the year we get into it a little bit, we indulge in Yetzer Hara. It's time, Pesach is time, that we do these physical actions and they have an impact into our spiritual beings too. So the better we do it, the more we'll be able to fight it. Right.
Rabbi, can I ask if
Yeah.
children who are over bar mitzvah have to do their own sale of chametz?
No.
Their
What do you mean? Their own chametz?
Okay.
Yes.
I don't know, let's say they've got in their room, they took something. Am I responsible just?
It's your responsibility. Unfortunately, children today, even over bar mitzvah, they're not so responsible. Right? Right, Gideon? They're not that responsible.
It's not that.
Once upon a time, they got to the age of 13. They were called, you become a man now. It's your responsibility. But nowadays, this is my favorite. You can't even get them to
It's when
tidy
you
up the
have your
beds
own
after they get
house.
up, to put the washing. So you're going to trust them on the chametz.
Until
And
18.
ultimately, the food you give your children belong to you. You're responsible to feed them. So he's saying, the fact that he took it to his room doesn't make it his. Right? So therefore, you're fully responsible to make sure that chametz is taken out of the room. You can use your children to help you look for chametz. If they're bar mitzvah, you can trust them. Adrabah. Give out the mitzvah. Share it with others, with the members of your household. Finish the Bedikat Hamets quicker. Wow. Okay. So now let's go into the restriction of eating matzah on Erev Pesach. Right? I'll go by the Ben Ish Chai's custom that we abstain from eating matzah already on the night of the 14th. There's a teshuvah which the Rav Pe'alim brings in Ben Ish Chai, that even though the Ran, Rabbeinu Nissim, says that the restriction starts from the morning, however, there's an indication from the Ramban Nachmani that from when we start the mitzvah of bi'ur chametz, of getting rid of chametz, then that's already inclusive in the restriction of the Talmud Yerushalmi, that whoever eats matzah on Erev Pesach, keboel arusato bebet chamiv. It's quite a sharp expression, yeah. It says, you're getting married, you're not waiting, yeah, she's in arusa, there wasn't yet nisuin, you're not even taking her to your own home. Shwaya, slowly, what are you doing? So that's why we abstain from eating matzah. So now I'll clearly tell you that the poskim who follow the Ran and say the restriction is from the morning. There are many poskim who hold like that. However, the Ben Ish Chai holds that the restriction should start purpose of abstaining from eating matzah already on the night of Bedikat Hamets. In order to eat, says the Ben Ish Chai, with excitement, the matzah. If we'll be so familiar, so this to eat matzah. Now, I never properly understood this concept. So always as a child, I understood, you got crackers and you've got bread. So it's a total different flavor, total different texture. So, you're experiencing from fresh. But if matzah is the same, just unleavened, so clearly there's a difference in taste. What excitement do we have from if we were so excited to eat it, then we should eat it all year round. But we don't. So obviously we're not so excited to eat matzah. So what did the Chachamim mean? כדי you eat the matzah with te'avon? It's the thought of it. You know you're doing it for the mitzvah purpose, then it becomes tasty. The excitement we have in the preparation towards eating the matzah on Leil HaSeder, that makes the matzah something tasty. It's all in the head, Rabotai. It's all in the head. What's tasty and not tasty is in your head. It becomes tasty because of the mitzvah. And that's why they told you, don't have it before, because you lose that excitement. That mental excitement of matzah. No, I'm saying, because you're experiencing what you will experience when you do the mitzvah, and therefore abstain from eating it already from the night, because you know this is a matzah mitzvah. It's quite an interesting way of putting things, yeah? But that's what it is. And let's face it, we do get excited, you know, we get until we wait in Erev Pesah, we're so hungry. Yeah, make sure we don't fill ourselves on Erev Pesach. So the excitement is the mitzvah side of things.